Hey everyone, welcome back to Glass Seats. This is Viddy.
My name is Mrinal, and in this episode, we are talking Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, been a minute.
We don't do this enough,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's been a problem.
For you personally, or like the show's problem?
I think in general, as hockey people who talk about hockey,
Mhm.
both us small-time shows and
Yeah.
big-time media, I think we've let Anaheim off the hook a little too long.
I mean, they're in the bottom of the standings.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and nobody has a problem with that.
I mean, it's been a couple of years. It's okay. Sounds like you have a bone to pick.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick. And the thing that started with this was
Damn.
Pierre LeBrun's trade rumors saying Montreal has inquired Anaheim about Trevor Zegras.
Mhm.
So let's just start with that a little bit. What are your thoughts on Anaheim potentially trading Zegras?
I don't think it's going to happen personally, but I did read into this a little bit before we started recording, and I can't remember who it was, but there was someone from the Detroit Red Wings management that is now with the Ducks, and speculation that not necessarily that he didn't like Zegras, but that he didn't see him as part of the formula for a cup winning team in the future as they're trying to rebuild, as Anaheim's trying to rebuild. I don't know how much I believe all of that. I don't know. I took it with a grain of salt. Like,
that's insane. This guy was an all-star like 2 seasons ago.
yeah, I didn't really think much of it. I personally just don't see him getting traded. I really don't.
I don't think he will either.
Yeah.
But I am irked that it's even a possibility.
Why?
Let's start from the beginning, shall we?
Okay. Wow. Okay. Sure.
When's the last time Anaheim made the playoffs?
18, I think.
5 years
19.
ago.
Okay.
5 years ago, 18. All right. At that point, they had an old general manager who had to leave due to non-hockey related circumstances.
Mhm.
But their current general manager, Pat Verbeek, was hired in February of 2022. When he was hired, he had this quote: "A typical rebuild takes 5 years. I'm hoping to shorten that, but that's kind of the reality of how long it takes you to be a consistent, serious contender."
He said this in 22.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's already been 5 years.
He hasn't been there for 5 years.
For the team, who cares about him?
Yeah, that's true.
And if you're fans of the team, it's already been 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Since 22, let's take a look at some of the moves Pat Verbeek has made.
Okay.
He traded Ricard Raquel for Callie Klang, Zach Aston Reese, Dominic Simone, and a 2022 second. Of those players, I believe only Callie Klang and that 2022 second became Tristan Luneau are still in the Anaheim organization.
Mm-hmm.
He then traded Hampus Lindholm for a bunch of picks. He signed, remember last year where he signed John Klingberg for a year and then got a 2025 pick in Andre Schuster out of it. Andre Schuster, who he had previously shipped out of Anaheim and has only played in the AHL.
Yeah.
Then they fired their head coach, Dallas Eakins.
Yes.
And then this past offseason signed Radko Gudas
Mm-hmm.
to $4 million for 3 years.
Interesting signing when I saw it. But they got Kaloran too, so I kind of let it off the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Alex Kaloran, really?
No, yeah, it's at the end of the day, he was a depth player for the Lightning. He's not a
Yeah.
superstar on the Ducks by any means.
And those are two separate deals, right?
Yeah.
Radko Gudas was just a free agent signing.
Yeah,
You could have signed Kaloran without Gudas.
I don't know. I think they were just trying to make headlines and we got
that-
Gudas.
That was my point. If I zoom out a bunch on the
Okay.
Anaheim Ducks,
Okay.
and I take a look at the moves Pat Verbeek has made, you have shuffled around garbage for 2 years.
Made no actual moves, you're saying?
And there's been 5 years since your team has been in the playoffs. You've just shipped out talent for young guys who you've kind of either screwed over or they're way too young to make an impact.
Yeah.
And this is not even counting prospects that are no longer in the Anaheim system, such as Max Comtois or Derek Grant,
Right.
who they completely failed in developing.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, I haven't heard either of those names in a while. And yeah, okay, it's good to know they're not even with the Ducks, it sounds like.
They're not. They're no longer, I double checked this, they're no longer with the Ducks.
Yeah, that's
Not in the
disappointing.
AHL or in the NHL. And then this year, you get second overall pick, you pick Leo Carlson, and then you do this weird shit of, we're not going to play him every game.
Mhm.
What do most teams do with developing players?
Let them play. Get experience.
Why do they send them to the AHL or let them play in college?
To get more experience.
more experience, more games.
Yeah.
Anaheim is hoping freaking Leo Carlsson out here learns by osmosis from the press box.
Takes him to the promised land. Yeah.
Like, stick him in the A. Let him play in Europe. Let him play. He came from Europe, right? So, yeah, leave him in Europe if you're not going to play him.
Yeah.
Like the Sharks did with William Smith.
Yeah.
Let him play in college because he's going to get top line minutes instead of just kicking around the bottom of the NHL.
Yeah.
You have made no serious progress. And I can't even count this as like an attempt to being good.
Yeah.
And I think we as hockey people have left them off the hook. You know who we've heard about rebuilding for way too long? So much?
Buffalo, Ottawa.
Exactly. If this team was on the East Coast or a little bit north in Canada, I think they'd be getting roasted.
You're saying if this wasn't a Southern California, specifically Orange County team,
yes,
they would be getting torn to shreds.
If they weren't a California team, like they would be getting torn to shreds.
Okay.
So I am taking it upon myself as a native Californian to rip them to shreds.
Got it. Okay.
What is this? This is just shoveling garbage around and being like, you know what? We suck.
Yeah. Come buy our season tickets.
Come buy tickets.
Yeah.
Ducks tickets are not cheap. We live pretty close to the stadium. It's not cheap.
And now you're gonna trade the guy away, the one guy who actually sells tickets for your organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could have had this could have been a decent core. Tell me, Leo Carlsson, Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry.
Yeah. A lot of young talent.
Is that not an exciting core that you would buy tickets to go see?
Yeah.
And now
if they were developed, yeah.
Yeah. Even if they're not right now, today, I'm saying if that was your core.
Oh yeah, that at least it'd be entertaining.
You are selling entertainment.
Yes.
Why do people go to Blackhawks games?
Have you noticed before we get to that? Have you noticed the only time the Ducks ever make NHL headlines is when like Zegras does like a Michigan or like some crazy.
Oh yeah, or one of these other guys. Troy Terry does something wild. Leo Carlsson does something wild.
Yeah.
Your defense is lacking. I'll give you that. But you know, if you had an exciting offense and mediocre everything else, you can get by.
Yeah.
What do you think the Leafs did for like the first year before they became like they're contending? Right.
That is true. Yeah.
What do you think the Capitals did for like the first X years of Ovechkin's career?
Yeah.
You know,
you gotta develop. You gotta suck and develop at the same time for a little bit.
And you lucked out on your forwards.
Yeah.
So drive into your strengths, right? Build up your forward core. Worry about the D and everything later.
Yes.
And if you are going to trade anyone, for the love of God, will you trade John Gibson already?
Yeah. Let that man go.
He's
done so much for your franchise.
So many trade requests.
Yeah.
Everybody in the NHL like needed a goalie at some point this year, and you still have John Gibson.
Yeah.
And you're gonna keep him, who is nearing the end years of his career.
Yeah.
And you're going to send out Trevor Zegras.
Yeah. And he's played out of his mind too. Like just out of respect, trade him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Give him a chance. Like,
and he's asked for a trade several times.
Yeah.
What is this?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't, you were also going to say something before I cut you off about Chicago. Why do people go
to Chicago? Right now, why would you go to a Chicago game?
One person only. Connor Bedard.
Why would you go to an Ottawa game right now?
Brady Tkachuk,
Thomas Chabot, Eric Brandstrom, Jake Sandstrom.
Yeah. There's young talent. They're not good, but young talent.
Jake Sanderson. I don't know what I just said. Sandstrom. Jake Sanderson.
Darude Sandstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you go to a Montreal game right now?
Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki.
Young talent. You need 2 or 3 young, exciting names to get people in the building.
Yep.
And you're going to ship one of them out? Why?
Remember when it was announced that Chicago would be picking first overall and they made $2.5 million in season ticket sales in like 2 hours?
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Anaheim should have been able to do that with Leo Carlsson, but you were already like day one, like, oh, we're not going to play him every game.
Mm-hmm.
So then what? I'm going to buy a ticket and hope that's the night you play Leo Carlsson?
Let's keep it a buck here. People like us who are like living in Southern California, we're going to Ducks games when someone else is in town. Like, let's say it's like the Kraken or the Stars or the Avalanche are in town.
Yeah.
That's a Ducks game I'll go to.
Yeah. I'm
going to be rooting for the other team, but that's a Ducks game I'll go to.
Yeah. Now, granted, at the top of this episode, you said, okay, he's probably not going to get traded. And I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are rebuilding, another very important part is culture.
Yes.
Yeah. How are you letting even anyone ask about Zegras? You better be slamming the door saying, no, this is a young team. We are rebuilding. We are keeping these pieces.
Right. I'm kind of confused as to what like they're not good. So it's not like they're going to get one magical piece that will finish their rebuild in a way that Duchesne trade did.
But you need to build a culture of wanting people to stay in Anaheim.
Oh, I see. Okay,
right? If you have rumors coming out, oh, this guy's leaving, this guy's leaving. What if you're some young guy who is maybe not of the caliber of Zegras, Carlson, but you still need to make an NHL career.
Yes.
And the Anaheim Ducks still need depth players at some point to become a contender.
Yeah.
You want people to stay in Anaheim. And let's be real, Anaheim is not a premier market.
No.
Right?
No.
Where people just come just because it's Anaheim.
No, people come here. The number one reason people go to John Wayne Airport is for Disneyland, not for the Anaheim Ducks.
Exactly.
So,
and all through when we were growing up watching hockey, the Ducks had no problem.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they were good.
They were good. And they had Getzlaff and Perry, who took over from Scott Niedermayer and Timo Solani.
That team was electric. Paul Kariya. Yeah.
Paul Kariya.
Yeah. People still love Paul Kariya to this day. They're talking about a guy from decades ago at this point, as opposed to Trevor Zegras.
This is a transition of stars, right? Yeah. And Anaheim, you had a chance to do that again.
Yes.
And you fucked it.
Yeah. Yeah. The more you talk about it, the more I have to agree with you. They didn't do a great job.
When I heard this news, I'm like, really? You're going to trade this guy? And I went on this whole rabbit hole of, okay, what has Anaheim actually done? And it's your garbage,
Shuffle
sir.
Cards. Yeah.
Here's your garbage.
Yeah.
Chip bag. Yeah. Disneyland wrapper.
Yeah. Just
shuffling garbage.
Yeah. Dole Whip without the Dole Whip. Just a bowl and spoon.
Half a churro.
Yeah, half a churro.
What other Disneyland garbage can That was my rant.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to add to that too is if you ship out a player like Trevor Zegras, who in this current Anaheim dilemma you want to call it, seems untouchable. You would think untouchable. If other star players are seeing that, they're like, all right, this is a stepping stone for my career. Your franchise becomes a stepping stone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just becomes a place to prove your name and then get out.
Yeah, get your payday.
Why do you think Columbus had such a hard time?
Yeah, they're a stepping stone.
It kind of became like that stepping stone, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I would argue for a while Minnesota had too. I think things are kind of turning around slowly.
Yeah, Minnesota was a decent contender for a while there in the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Right, but I think with the signing of Parise and Suter really changed how people saw Minnesota. Yeah. People wanted to go to Minnesota after that.
There's watershed moments, right? Like for the Sharks, it was Owen Nolan.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But the Anaheim, you have gone the other way. You were already this team that had this reputation of being really good and being gritty and fighting and scrappy for wins, taking on the LA Kings, who were this big premier market, and going toe-to-toe with them. Mm-hmm. But you've lost that now.
You know what this makes me really want to do is it really makes me want to pick the mind of someone who was a Ducks fan from 2007 when they won the Cup to now. Like, continue to be a diehard Ducks fan the way we're diehard Sharks fans. I was like, what do you think of all this going on right now? Truly, like, unfiltered. I mean,
I just came to this realization because I did a bunch of research for this episode, but I can't imagine someone who's gone through it day to day. Or does it take someone to take the zoom out view of the Ducks?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Management is clearly an issue in Anaheim. I don't really know how you fix this problem. That's the biggest issue.
Maybe you just gotta burn it down, try again. Who knows? Which would be depressing.
Yeah,
and what Buffalo has gone through so many times, and Ottawa,
And I feel like Anaheim's got some golden. Like, watch if you try to trade away like Carlson and Zegras and Troy Terry, watch them turn into superstars elsewhere.
They will. They're like that caliber of player. We know that already.
Yeah, it's like the Clayton Keller effect. If he was playing in Toronto, oh my God, the media coverage that man will get.
Yeah.
But he plays in Arizona, and he's had no help. So
yeah, but let's be real. More teams have to fight for the spotlight than are given it.
Yeah,
like 5 teams are given it because of the markets they're in.
Also, not having that pressure would almost make you want to play harder.
Yeah,
there's no pressure on you. Like, why not?
The top tier of NHL franchises are the Rangers in New York, Toronto, Montreal.
To 06 teams.
Not all 06, right? So I think it's like the Rangers, Montreal, Toronto, and Chicago is like the top tier.
No, I'd throw Pittsburgh in there too at this point.
Yeah, maybe Pittsburgh because of Crosby and all of that,
Malkin,
right?
Yeah.
And then there's like the second tier of like Boston, Vancouver, who get a significant amount of coverage, and then there's like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, most teams are fighting for that spotlight, so you got to do it as well. Anaheim.
Yeah.
And
the way it's going right now, it's not.
It's just we're moving this garbage out for more garbage and that garbage, and you got
a couple of gems too. That's the biggest. That's the most frustrating part.
And you got to fix your development, right? You got to hit on some of these prospects. Yeah. I think the fact that you lost Max Comtois, I was very, very high on Max Comtois when he first joined. He was really good. I thought he had a lot of promise, and the fact that didn't work out is, I think, a real big bummer.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So
figure it out. Figure it out, Ducks.
Yeah, Ducks need some help on the development, some on the management.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments. If you like this episode, drop a like. If you want to hear more about the Ducks and other complaints that we have, you can hit subscribe.
Yeah. And we do a lot of complaining on this show.
It's cathartic.
It is cathartic, yeah.
You know? If you're listening to us on audio, you can also leave us a rating or a review, and it'll help us grow the show. See you next complaint session.
Welcome to therapy. All right, see you later.
Bye.